Hiya, glad you could make it along. So we're going to be looking at a different kind of factorising today, and hopefully you will manage that just fine. We'll take it quite slow and we're going to make it last over quite a few lessons. We're going to be factorising trinomials into two brackets. I'll explain that when we get there. But first of all, a couple of questions for us to think about without using a calculator, please. So to start with, 13 squared take away 5 squared is 8 squared. Is that true or false? Well, we just need to work out the numbers, don't we? So 13 squared, remember 13 times 13. You might know what 13 times 13 is. If you think about working it out as a chimney sum, you can do it in one go. You don't need to do it as long multiplication, because 3 times 13 is 39. You can work that one out fairly easily, I think. And then you've got 1 times 13 is 13. Add the 3, makes 16. So 13 squared is 169. Okay, we know that 5 squared is 25. And let's see what 13 squared take away 5 squared is. Well, 9 take away 5 is 4, 6 take away 2 is also 4, and then 1 take away nothing, 144. So the question is 13 squared take away 5 squared equal to 8 squared? Well, the answer clearly is no, because 169 take away 25 does not equal 64, which is 8 squared. 169 take away 25 is equal to 144, which, by the way, is 12 squared. So the correct statement is 13 squared minus 5 squared is equal to 12 squared. Okay, but I just wanted to know if it was true or false, and the answer is false. It's a big fat fib. Okay, right, next one, true or false, that if you square out the bracket, 5 squared plus 3, 5x, plus 3, you get 25x squared plus 9. So seems reasonable, because 5x squared, so 5 squared is 25, x squared is x squared, and 3 squared is 9. But remember, we've got methods and strategies for multiplying out brackets, and also remember that 5x plus 3 squared means 5x plus 3 times 5x plus 3. So when we work that out, whatever method we're using, we're going to get 5x times 5x, there's your 25x squared. 5x times 3 is positive 15x. Then we've got 3 times 5x is another positive 15x. And then 3 times 3 is 9. So collecting like terms, we've got, oh, remember I missed the squared there. I said it and missed it. Okay, so we've got 25x squared plus 30x plus 9. So true or false that 5x plus 3 squared is 25x squared plus 9? Well, that's another big fat fib, because 5x plus 3 squared is 25x squared plus 30x plus 9. So that bit there was missing from the original. Okay, so let's see where we're up to. We've done factorising expressions using common factors. We've factorised using a difference of 2 squares, and we've looked at mixed examples of those. So now we're on to factorising trinomials today. So there's a word that we've not come across before, trinomials. So clearly, I think before we move on from here, we need to work out exactly what is a trinomial, don't we, before we go any further. So trinomial, this word here. A trinomial is the result of multiplying two brackets together, usually that have got two things in them. So if we have a look at what we've already seen today, this that we ended up with here, this is a trinomial. Okay, a trinomial, so we've got the word tri in there. So tri usually means 3. So a trinomial is an expression with 3 terms, and the first one is, so they're all like powers of x, they're not square roots or anything like that. So a trinomial usually looks like something x squared and something x and then something on the end. Okay, so 3 terms. Now, tri means 3. So usually we can write this as ax squared plus bx plus c to show that the letters a, b and c can stand for any number. So whatever amount of x squared we've got, whatever amount of x, and whatever number on the end. Okay, so that's trinomial. It's an expression made up of 3 terms. One term is a squared term. One term is a letter term that's not squared, and one term is just a number. Okay, so examples of trinomials would be things like 3x squared plus 5x minus 2, or x squared take away 6x plus 3, or t squared plus t plus 1, or v squared minus 3v plus 6. So you can see each of these examples, we've got 3 terms, and we've got a squared term, and then the plain letter, and then a number on the end. So squared term, plain letter, number on the end. Okay, so that's what makes us see we've got a trinomial. Squared term, plain letter, number on the end. Okay, so we've seen these before in our previous lessons when we've multiplied 2 brackets together. So for example, when we did multiplying out brackets, if I'd asked you to do 2x minus 1 times x plus 3, then multiplying these out, we get 2x squared plus 6x minus x minus 3. So that's 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Okay, so let's have a think. When we multiplied these 2 brackets out, it was the first 2 things multiplied together, wasn't it? The 2x times the x that gave us this first term of 2x squared. Okay, these 2 middle terms came from, if we're using FOIL, it's the outsides and the insides, and then the thing on the end is what you get, the number is what you get when you multiply your last 2 things together. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to work backwards with this, how to start with a trinomial and work backwards to factorize and put it into brackets. Okay, so that's what we're going to go on to just now. So, right, I've written out steps to success here. It's quite lengthy, and those people who've done National 5 already will remember this. If you've done it with me, I haven't changed the way that we're doing it. If you've done it with a different teacher, if you've got a way that works, you stick with it. Okay, if you're happy with it and it works, you don't have to do it my way. I'm not going to be precious about that. It's fine as long as your way works. Okay, if you have done it before and you've never really been that confident about it, then perhaps doing it this way might be easier for you. Okay, I'm not sure. And if you've never done it before, this is the way I would like you to do it. Okay, so it's a multi-step process. That's why I've written out these steps to success. Tomorrow's lesson is going to be using the same steps to success. We're just going to gradually increase the difficulty of what we're factorising. Okay, so we're going to start with an example, and that example is going to be x squared plus 6x plus 5. Okay, so this is our trinomial to start with, and we're going to factorise it. Okay, so we're going to look at our steps to success here. So, first of all, so we're factorising ax squared plus bx plus c. So we've got something x squared, something x, and a number on the end. It's okay that we've not got a number in front of the x here, because remember that means 1x squared. Right, so first bit, make 2 brackets, right, easy enough, eh? Right. The first terms in the brackets multiply to give the first term in the trinomial. okay. So our first term in the trinomial is x squared. The first terms in the brackets multiply to give x squared. So that must mean that in the brackets, the first terms are x and x, so that when we multiply out, we'll get x squared. Okay, so if I just show you that that times that gives you the x squared. Okay. Right, let's look at number 2 on our list then. Write down the factors of the last term in the trinomial. So the factors are the numbers which multiply together to make that number. Remember, we've looked at that in detail in common factors. So the factors of 5, that's what we need to look at, are 1 and 5. Okay, there aren't any other pairs of whole numbers that multiply together to give us 5. So we've done number 2 now. Write down the factors of the last term in the trinomial. Oops. The last terms in the brackets multiply to give this. Right, so I've done that. Number 3. Look at the sign of the last term in the trinomial. So here's the last term, and it's positive. So we're here. So the signs in the bracket match the sign of the middle term. So that means they're either going to be both pluses or both minuses. So if we have a look at the middle term, right, the signs in the bracket match the signs of the middle term. That should be the signs in the brackets. Match the sign of the middle term. So middle term is positive, so the signs in the brackets match that. So they're both the same, both pluses. Okay. Then we're on to number 4. The sum of these two terms. So I've done that just by drawing on there. So it's this times this and this times this. So it's the outsides and the insides if we were using FOIL. The sum of these two terms gives the middle term of the trinomial. Okay? So what that means is this times this, add this times this, gives us 6x. Okay? These are going to be numbers. All right. Use the pairs of factors from step 2 and the signs from step 3 to determine the last terms in each bracket. So use the pairs of factors from step 2. Well, that was only the 1 and the 5. And the signs from step 3. So we've got the plus and the plus to work out what goes there. So this one's really straightforward because the only choice we've got for what goes in the back of the brackets are 1 and 5. Okay, so because we've only got one pair of factors, that's the only pair that we can put in. So when we just do our multiplying out to check, let's just see, before we do a full multiply out, let's just check these and check them when we add them together. So x times 5 is 5x, 1 times x is x, 5x plus x is 6x, which is our middle term here. That's what we wanted. Okay, so if we do a full multiply out then x times x is x squared, x times 5 is 5x, 1 times x is x, and 1 times 5 is 5. So all together there, when we collect our like terms in the middle, we've got x squared plus 6x plus 5, which shows that we got the right answer because that's what we started with. Okay, but don't forget, the thing that's the answer is this. Okay, that's the answer. Right, so we aren't going to write down all that messy stuff for all of them, but I'll show you what we're doing as we're going along. So I'm just going to use this same space each time to do our examples. So get rid of all that. A different example now. So this time our example is going to be not that. It's going to be x squared. Oh, I'm in red. Never mind. Plus 7x plus 10 this time. So we're going to follow all these steps all over again. So first of all, make two brackets. So we're on step 1, make two brackets. Done that. The first terms in the brackets multiply to give the first term in the trinomial. So put those in. So we need something in the beginning of our brackets that's going to be this times this gives the first term of our trinomial. So that must be x and x to give us x squared. Okay, so we've done part 1. Part 2, step 2, write down the factors of the last term in the trinomial. Right, well, let's do that then. So the last term in the trinomial is 10. So we're going to write down the factors of 10. So we've got 1 and 10, or 2 and 5. They're the only factors of 10. No other numbers go into 10, no other whole numbers. Okay, so we've done that. So remember that the last terms in the brackets multiply to give this. So these two terms here multiply to give us that. So in the back of the brackets, we're either going to put the pair with 1 and 10, or we're going to put the pair 2 and 5. Okay, then step 3, look at the sign of the last term in the trinomial. So the last term is 10 and it's positive. So the examples that we're doing today, I'm sticking with positive here for all of them. Okay, so look at the sign of the last term in the trinomial. The signs in the brackets, so we're plus here, remember plus 10. So the signs in the brackets match the sign of the middle term. So they're either both pluses or both minuses. And when we look at our middle term, it's positive, which makes the signs in the brackets both plus. All right. And then on to step 4. It's the sum, remember, of this times this and this times this that we need to be equal to the middle term 7x. Okay, so we need to put our pairs. So we need to think about whether it could be 1 and 10 or whether it can be 2 and 5. So let's think, if it was 1 and 10, then we'd have 1x from that and 10x from that, and that would give us an 11x, wouldn't it? So we'd have x plus 10x, that's 11x. And we're not looking for 11x, are we? We're looking for 7x. So that won't work. Okay, so it's not 1 and 10. So that pair we can forget about. Okay, so let's try, oops daisy, get rid of that. So let's now try the other pair, so 2 and 5. And let's look at what sum we get from that. So the inside's there, 2 times x, that'll give us 2x. And then we've got x times 5 there, that gives us 5x. And 2x plus 5x is 7x. So that's what we wanted, because that's the middle term. So what we can say there is that this is the answer. Okay, we can multiply it out to check, do a full multiply out, x plus 2 times x plus 5. So we get x times x is x squared, x times 5 is 5x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 5 is 10. So altogether you've got x squared plus 7x plus 10, which is what our starting question was, so we know that our answer here is correct. Okay, right, we've got time for 1 or 2 more examples. We're going to change the signs a little bit now, so we go the other way at step 3, I mean. Right, so this time we're going to start off with, I'm going to stick with x just now. X squared minus, let's see, 6x plus 8. Okay, so we're going now to just follow our steps again. Okay, so to start with, make 2 brackets, righto. The first terms in the brackets multiply to give the first term in the trinomial. So because we want x squared, we need x and x in the brackets. Right, number 2, step 2. Write down the factors of the last term in the trinomial. So the last term in the trinomial is 8. So if we write down the factors of 8, we've got 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. So we're going to end up with a choice there. Okay? So we know that our pair that goes in our brackets is either going to be 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. There is no mixing up of the pairs goes on, because remember they have to multiply to give 8. So if it's either this pair or it's this pair. It's not going to be 2 and 8 or 4 and 1. Okay? So looking at step 3 then. Look at the sign of the last term in the trinomial. If it's positive, so last term in the trinomial is here, it is positive, so the signs in the brackets match the sign of the middle term, so they're either both plus or both minus. If we have a look at our middle term this time, we've got a minus there now. Okay, so that means that both the signs in the brackets are minuses. Okay, then on to step 4. Oops, let's not put it right out of the way. So we need to look, remember, at this combination and think about that combination. And it's this times this, add this times this, needs to give us minus 6x. So let's have a look and see if we put 1 there and 8 there, see if that would work. So that would give us minus 1 times x, so that's obviously minus x. And then we've got x times negative 8, so that gives us minus 8x. So altogether there, we've got minus 1x minus another 8x, so that's minus 9x altogether. So that doesn't work. We need minus 6x. We don't want minus 9x, so that's not right. We can get rid of those numbers. Okay, so, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to cross them out. There. Okay, so let's try 2 and 4. So looking at our combinations here, we've got 2 times x, sorry, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And then we've got x times negative 4 is negative 4x. So negative 2x, take away 4x, is negative 6x. So that works. That's what we were looking for. So our answer is x minus 2, x minus 4. Okay? So each time you just follow the steps through. We're going to do one more just now as an example. And then I'm going to get you to try some yourselves. When you're doing them yourselves, just watch these over and over. If it helps you, make sure you stick with these steps. Okay, so our last example for today, we're going to use a different letter. We'll use m. So m squared minus 7m and plus 6 this time. So let's follow our steps through. We should be now used to doing number 1 without thinking about it. We make 2 brackets and we put our letter at the beginning of both. Okay, then we write down the factors of the last term, so that would be 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. So you can see why I wanted to look at factors earlier on in the week particularly carefully. Okay, so then we look at the sign of the last term. So the sign of the last term is plus, so we're going this way. The signs in the brackets match the sign of the middle term, so they're either both plus or both minus. So the middle term is a minus, so we get 2 minuses in the brackets. And then we just need to pick which pair it is that when we do this times this and this times this, that we get minus 7m. Okay, So let's have a look then. If we used 1 and 6, put 1 there and 6 there, then we can see we would have negative 1m and a negative 6m. So that gives us negative 7m altogether. So we've hit the right one first time. Okay, that's what we wanted, was negative 7m. So we don't even need to try the other pair. We know that it won't work because this one does. Okay, so our answer is just m minus 1 times m minus 6. Okay, and that's that one done. Okay, so for ones where you've got a plus at the end and you've only got one pair of factors, then that's dead easy to do. You just stick that pair in. Okay, you just need to be careful of the signs, so watch step 3. Okay, we'll do more of this tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll recap this, and then we're going to look at ones that have got a minus in there as well. Okay, so that's tomorrow's work anyway. We're going to stick with the same template as we've got today, where we're following our steps through. Okay, so have a practice at these. Don't be too concerned if you're finding them tricky, if you've never done them before. They take a while to get the hang of. Okay, see you later.